Winter is right around the corner. The kids are back in school. Germs are abundant. So it's time to make our yearly batch of fire cider. Now, this is an old-timey recipe that is handed down through many generations in each family. And if your family isn't making fire cider, this is the year that changes. Let me show you how we make it in our family. And this little tonic will keep you well all winter long. 3 years in a row, my family spent Thanksgiving sick. And Thanksgiving is our favorite holiday. But for 3 years in a row, we got the virus. Yeah, that one. And so about the third year this happened, I was like, we've got to figure something out for immune support, because as soon as fall hits, it seems like my family is just taken down. We've got sore throats and colds and coughs and earaches, and we had to figure something out. And so we had done elderberry syrup, we were doing fermented honey garlic, we were doing all the old remedies, but we weren't doing fire cider. And honestly, this is one I was a little afraid of because, hello, fire, it's spicy. But it turns out it's the best remedy out there, and it's one you really need to know about. So on the third year, when we ended up sick for Thanksgiving, we brewed a batch of fire cider, and it knocked it right out. And this year, we're starting fire cider early so we can take it ahead of time, because we're not going to be sick for Thanksgiving. And I don't want you to be sick either. So this is not medical advice. It's just an old-timey remedy passed down from one generation to another. And today I'm going to teach you how we make fire cider. Fire cider always starts with citrus, and I love to use oranges and lemons in my fire cider. These are bright, cheerful guests, and they bring sunshine into the mix with vitamin C, and they freshen the whole jar up. And honestly, citrus is a good reminder that even in the dark of winter, light can still break through. Make sure you're using organic citrus for this though. Next up, we're adding ginger. Now, ginger is kind of like that friend with endless energy. You know that one? It kind of gets the blood moving, it warms you up from the inside out, and it kicks up the flavor of the fire cider and gives it a little fiery snap. Now, ginger is really good for any kind of inflammation or any kind of illness, and it also helps with nausea and upset stomach. So it's a great addition to this little recipe, and I add a pretty good chunk. Then comes turmeric. Now, turmeric is like a wise old healer. It calms inflammation, it strengthens the whole body, and it's really an herb that you should be using on the regular if you struggle with any sort of pain or chronic inflammation. Plus, bonus, it smells like pickles, and so it's a familiar flavor that most people don't mind. But the thing about turmeric is it doesn't work if you use it alone. Turmeric always needs to be paired with black pepper. The black pepper is going to unlock the anti-inflammatory power of turmeric. So it's like a loyal sidekick to make sure turmeric does its job, and I'm adding about a teaspoon. Next, we're going to add some onion and some garlic. I use an entire onion chopped and then one head of garlic. An entire head, yes. And I'll put all those cloves in there and just give them a rough chop. Next come the spices, and we're going to start with cinnamon. Now, you want to use real cinnamon for this, not the cheap knockoff. You want real good cinnamon. And I use about 5 or 6 cinnamon sticks. Cinnamon is warming, so it's a perfect fit for our fire cider. Next, I'm going to be grabbing the star anise. Now, this stuff is really special. If you didn't know, star anise has a licorice-like flavor, but it packs an antiviral punch. It's actually got the same active ingredients and compounds as what they use in Tamiflu. Then we add cloves. Cloves are a superstar for any sort of respiratory inflammation, and they're like a natural decongestant, so we're going to add a good handful of cloves too. Now, you know I'm not making fire cider without some good plants from the garden, and we're going to start with echinacea or purple coneflower. And I'm just pulling the petals off these flowers and adding them right into my jar. Echinacea is like the watchman on the wall. Its whole job is to rally your immune system to keep invaders at bay. Next, I'm reaching for sage. Now, I use sage specifically here because it's good for sore throat. And a lot of times when you get a cold or the flu in the winter, the first symptom is sore throat. So we're going to add some sage to combat that. And then there's one more herb that we need, and that is rosemary. Rosemary helps lift that nagging brain fog that always seems to accompany winter illnesses like cold and flu. And then lemon balm. You guys know I love lemon balm, and any recipe in this house is going to include it. It's a nervine herb, which means it's going to calm your nervous system, and ultimately it's just going to help you rest when you're sick. So I'm going to cram about half a cup of lemon balm in there too. Just a few more ingredients and we're almost done, but we need the fire. So we got to add some peppers. These are cayennes that have been drying for a few days, so they're not completely dry, but sort of. We're going to add a few of those to the jar, but you could totally use jalapenos if you want it a little less spicy. Now it's time to add the apple cider vinegar, and this is the foundation that brings everything together. The apple cider vinegar is the vessel that draws out all the goodness from the herbs and spices and pulls the nutrients and flavors into the liquid. It's tangy, sharp, and cleansing, and it's kind of like the glue that binds together this community of healing herbs. It also has its own gifts. It's going to support digestion, balance blood sugar, and keep the immune system humming. And without the vinegar, you wouldn't have fire cider. You would just have a jar of chopped ingredients. So it's the reminder that sometimes what feels sharp or strong in life is actually the good stuff that preserves us and carries us through. So now, how soon can you enjoy your finished fire cider? Well, we need to let it sit and steep and let the vinegar absorb all this good stuff for at least 4 weeks. Personally, I like to let mine go more like 8 weeks, but it's totally up to you. But after the time passes, we're going to run it through a strainer and we're going to get rid of all the solids, and the liquid that is left is our fire cider. Now, it's going to be fiery. It will light you up, but it will also burn out any kind of sickness. But here's the thing. For kids especially, or if you just have a little bit of a sensitive palate, you might want to dilute it with honey. 50% fire cider, 50% honey. Shake it up, and it makes like a tonic. You can keep it in your refrigerator, and you'll have it all winter long. Take a tablespoon anytime you're starting to feel under the weather, and then keep taking it every few hours until you feel better. Fire cider. Put it to work in your house this winter.